evening, and welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle since 2011. That's how long we've been on the air.
Mixing and mingling.
Since 2011. First on Blog Talk Radio, now YouTube. Tonight,
Mixing sports with politics.
Thank you, Cousin Todd. Joining me tonight is Aguna, the Nigerian moderate Republican. Oh, I'm sorry, the voice of reason. What am I thinking of? Stephen, the independent thinker. Keith, the constitutional conservative.
All right.
And my cousin Todd. We've got a packed show for you tonight. We only have an hour because Vice President Harris will be on and we have to be off tonight. She'll be making closing arguments or a closing argument at the eclipse outside of the White House. NASCAR with Stephen, what to know about NASCAR antitrust lawsuit and an injunction motion filed. Native Americans want to see more action behind President Biden's apology for boarding schools for over 150 years in this country. The Dodgers are beating the Yankees in the series, and the Arizona Democratic National Committee office shooting suspect was seen posting signs with bags of a white powdery substance with him. Are Dallas Cowboy Jerry Jones fans a hurdle to the Cowboys ever getting back to a Super Bowl? John Kelly, former Trump chief of staff, says that former President Donald Trump meets the definition of a fascist. College football week 9 highlights, and the Cherokee Nation wants a federal law fix for Black tribal citizens. NFL Week 8, how did your team do? A judge today dismissed Pennsylvania Republicans' overseas voter lawsuit and more. If we can fit it in, we've got a packed show for you tonight. First up, Stephen and NASCAR. Do you want to talk about what's going on with NASCAR, or do you want to talk about this antitrust law, Stephen?
I don't know anything about the antitrust law, but I know Tyler Reddick won this third to the last race this week, and I had him. I picked him to win, which was awesome. And then he made the playoffs. There's only 2 races left, which is Martinsville and Phoenix, which he's really good at these races. And I'm predicting he's going to win the championship just because he won for me this week, and I've liked him all year. And Michael Jordan ran over to him and picked him up and threw him in the air, because these NASCAR drivers are kind of like jockeys. They're kind of small guys because of the weight and then the cars and the horses and all the horsepower. But he kind of picked him up, like, oh yeah, that's my boy. If you haven't seen it, it's beautiful. It's really cool because he's so happy that Tyler Reddick has made it to the end of the playoffs, and it's great for the team. And Bubba didn't do too bad this year, but he didn't make the playoffs, but he still did better than he's ever done. So it's really good. And Michael Jordan's, before he's with Denny Hamlin, he owns a team. They kind of were getting upset. You could see him at the races they would go to, and they were like, you could tell on his face, he's like, why did I get into all this? But now he has a driver that has a legitimate chance to win the championship. And it's really awesome. And the last part of this race, the last lap, it's like Tyler Reddick had a turbo boost or something. He went by 2 cars and it just went by really unbelievable. I've been watching him forever, and I was like, I can't even believe he just did this move, and the way he did it too, because he is a great driver, and the way he did it, and he won won the race. It was awesome. This is what NASCAR is all about. It always has been, and a lot of people are missing out on it. But it was great. So we got Bell, Byron, Larson, Reddick are the top 4 right now. And Reddick is 4th. He's had 3 wins this year, but I really do believe not even just believe, I really want him to win. Even if he doesn't, he's done great to make it this far. And he's a small team, and it's good. So it's good for racing. It's good for NASCAR's rolling right now.
What is his name again?
Tyler Reddick.
Oh, okay. And how is he in bed?
I don't know, but you see the way he spelled his name is Reddick. So I don't know what that tells you.
Oh, well, you would know.
I don't know.
What a waste
I have
of
no
time.
idea.
Yeah, what
But
a waste of time.
he's a great driver, Todd. I wish you could get into racing a little bit. Go see a race live sometime. You could get really into it, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Aguna, college football and NFL, which one you want to start with? Highlights from week 9 and 8, respectively. We can't hear you.
I'm on mute, sorry. For college,
Which one you
yeah.
starting with?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to shout out my South Carolina State Bulldogs. It was their homecoming this weekend. We had a great time. We beat up on Delaware State. We put up 69 points. I'm sure Todd and Stephen probably appreciate that. But anyway.
Yeah.
I went down there, had a great time. Shout out to President Conyers. Shout out to the Bulldog football team. Good job. Unlike A&T is our rival, a pseudo rival. We beat they behind this year, but they lost their homecoming. We don't do that to our fans. We make sure that that we come and get the tailgate in as well as the win. So shout out to school, my alma mater, hail, hail. That being said, I mean, there wasn't a lot of, I don't know if there was a lot of action in college football this week. I mean, I was trying to see before I go to the NFL. I mean, SMU. I'm looking at the top.
Alabama. You could talk about
A&M won. A&M won. That's right. Texas A&M beat LSU, which I figured. Oh, yeah, and Texas barely beat Vanderbilt. So those are two of the. I'm an SEC guy, so
I'm an SEC woman. That's Todd. That's S as in Stacy, E as in Elizabeth, C as in cat. I know you don't know what SEC.
I do. So that sounds silly.
I know it means that the C means cat.
So Vanderbilt almost pulled off the upset to Texas. Alabama rolled, but that big one, LSU losing to A&M. That was big. Well, they beat up on Missouri, which I think Missouri is kind of like Kentucky in the SEC. They don't really belong there. But again, when they first got into the SEC, they were beating up on bad teams like the Carolina Gamecocks, and then they get steamrolled by the big boys. But A&M beat LSU, so that's a big deal. It's going to be interesting to see what the SEC title game looks like. I mean, I
was sad to see LSU lose, though. I was really pulling for LSU. Had them big, but just never know.
They're number 8 in the country, so they should have kind of pulled that off. But
they should have.
I was pulling for the SEC, but the Dodgers, they took advantage of them.
Yeah, they're up 3.
Yeah, Todd. Yeah, you better. I think you've been riding that white horse in your background, Todd. So let's go to the NFL. Let's talk about the NFL. All right. Philadelphia Eagles. They shocked me. I thought this game. I knew they needed a statement game, and they were playing a Bengals team that was pretty desperate. They were at home. I still think Joe Burrow is a great passer. They got good wide receivers, and the defense came through, and the offense picked up. I mean, Jalen is got like 3 rushing touchdowns, which is great for fantasy football, but it's kind of messed up because Saquon does all the work, and they get in there close, and Jalen runs in there. But I'm not going to complain too much. He had over 200 yards passing. He's not turning the ball over. He's playing smart. He's starting to pick up at the right time of the season. So I'm going to hold off, for a couple more weeks to see how he's doing, because I was very concerned about his pocket presence, spreading the ball around, getting the ball down the seam in the middle of the field. So he did it pretty consistently in this game. So let's see if he can keep that momentum up. Again, I want him to be successful, but, those first couple of games were kind of rough, and he got a lot of critics. You got a Sirianni, still acting up on the sideline. So this team was like held together by a little bit of glue, and we're waiting for it to come unravel. Now,
right.
That being said, I think we're on a collision course with the Commanders. So I'm going to be very interested to see how that game plays out. because I'm not going to steal your thunder, Stephen, because I know you're going to talk about it. But I think it's their divisions to lose, right? So it's going to come down to those two because Dallas lost, the Giants lost. It seems like they're kind of, particularly Dallas. It seems like the wheels are coming off that, So we'll see.
Oh, how great is this? And for the show, for the first time we've been doing this show for 13 years that I've been on, maybe. I've never been able to say our teams can compete and we're both doing well and we're leading right now. Because I know we haven't. I know y'all have had good times, but we haven't had any good times in Washington. No. This was great. But you also talk I see you're cautiously optimistic because you were playing the Bengals and their defense is just squashed. And but we're both hanging side by side. You're just hanging pretty good. But we were playing the Bears, who traditionally are not that great. But Caleb has been playing a little bit better. But our quarterback was hurt. But he threw an impossible pass at the end and won the game. And that's a lucky win. That's a bad bet for everybody who had Chicago. And I know a lot of my friends that had Chicago. And they're mad at me because I'm a Skins fan. I had nothing to do with it. It was a bad beat because the Skins should have lost to Chicago at home. So I'm not even cautiously optimistic as I am about the Eagles. I'm not that optimistic about the Skins right now, but I hope we stay competitive. We have the Giants who can give us a fit in New York or New Jersey where we're going to play. They're going to give us a fit, and it could be a hard game, and we could lose that game. But we got to stay doing the things we're doing. And whatever they've done now, like I've said the week before, whatever they've done up to this point, if it doesn't go any further, I'm already happy. They already got me 10 times past what I thought they could do this year. So I'm excited. I'm not looking for a Super Bowl. I'm happy for what they've done so far.
Well, I am a fan. You can tell by my hat.
Yeah.
I am a Flyers fan.
Oh, yeah. You love them Flyers.
They're going to take it all the way.
They just need the right sticks at the right time.
First.
Yes, sir. America first.
I mean, that is a very sharp edge on that beard. I mean, would you do that with an Etch-a-Sketch?
Say what?
Never mind. All right.
Oh my gosh.
He went somewhere. Boy. He didn't do it himself. He went somewhere.
He didn't do it himself, man.
You can't do that yourself. Yeah. You got to go somewhere to get that.
And you spray paint the rest of it in there.
Oh my gosh.
A little bit.
I can't deal with this.
I'm just saying. It's pretty sharp, man.
It is sharp, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good. Good for the judge. Looks good.
Surprise.
You know, I do trim my own. You can tell. Mine's not sharp. Mine's dull.
You got a little bit of gray in there. I mean, that shows maturity. All right.
We're going to move on to politics.
Yay.
Please watch this. Is there anything else in sports? Wait, before we move on to politics.
Oh, we have the World Series going on, and the Yankees are dying. But I got the Yankees winning tonight. They have to win one at least.
Dodgers, man, they really ran away with this thing.
They can't win. If it can't be over right now, Aguna, they have to have it go a next game or another game. They want to win at home. LA does. I'm not saying they're going to throw the game, but maybe they won't try as hard. But they want to win at home and have the big celebration there. And the baseball wants that to happen too. It's good for baseball for them to LA to win at home, and guy has a broken shoulder or whatever. He walks out like this,
isn't it? You know, LA just running through. It's like the East Coast West Coast war. I mean, they're running through all the New York teams like that. It's kind of messed up. But as a
it can't go 4-0. It can't go 4-0.
I don't think it matters where they are. If they're in California or in Philadelphia, I'm for the 76ers all the way.
Oh, yeah. They got the best dunkers.
Thank you, Todd, for all that you are.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. And then Stephen just follows you right off that cliff, Cousin Todd.
Yeah, might as well.
He said they have the best dunkers. He follows you right off the cliff.
I don't listen to him. I don't know what he's saying.
I know, but wouldn't you like?
Let's watch this.
We are Puerto Ricans, and we are Americans. But Donald Trump doesn't see us that way. Remember what he did to us after Hurricane Maria. We were down in thousands while he threw paper towels at us like we were because he thinks we are garbage.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
We are not your punchline. We know who we are. We are proud Americans, proud Puerto Ricans. And we see who you are. You are racist. You are a liar. You are the one that's garbage. And we know where real garbage belongs. In the trash.
Okay. We are voters on this show. Everyone's a voter. Everyone participates in this great democracy. So based on that, can you give me your opinion, Stephen, on the fact that former President Donald Trump allowed the comedian during his rally to talk about, as you saw, our territory, Puerto Rico, with Pennsylvania housing
over
as
100,000.
Pennsylvania is a resident of like the second or third largest group of Puerto Ricans or Hispanics in the country. How do you expect that voting bloc to react to their homeland being called that trash, Stephen?
First of all, the guy said that he was Puerto Rican and American. How can you be both? You're either American or you're Puerto Rican. Are they American or are they Puerto Rican? I don't know. But it was
You don't know.
when
Do
I
you
heard
want
it,
to know? Because I can tell you.
wait
if
a
you
minute.
want
No,
to
wait a
know.
minute. It does. I'm not
Okay,
asking
you
a
don't want
question.
to
It was
know.
rhetorical. It was
Okay.
rhetorical.
Okay.
Yeah, for this. Yeah, why'd you break me up?
Just remember what Fox News said. It'll come back to you.
No, I don't. And everything is my thoughts, man.
Sure it is. Go ahead. Just read what Fox News said. Go ahead. Take your time.
So,
No,
Stephen, basically what I was asking was, how can the former president expect that voting bloc to vote for him when he allows people like that to make comments about their homeland?
He didn't allow anybody. This is not a reflection on Donald Trump.
Trump said that himself. Remember,
Todd,
Trump said what?
said,
Trump
Todd,
did not
Todd,
say
I
that
was-
Puerto Rico is an island of
I don't
trash.
want you-
Wait a
Todd,
minute, guys. Wait a minute. Look, I understand, guys. Y'all have nothing else. A comedian, when I first heard it, I didn't know it was a comedian. I didn't know who the guy was. When I heard it, I was offended. I was like, why is this guy saying something derogatory about Puerto Rico or any other place? I don't care what they have to do with us or Donald, anybody. I said, why is this guy saying this? I didn't understand. Then I heard he was a comedian. And then when I heard him, I said, this guy's not funny. I know comedians. I think I like comedians.
Right.
He's not a funny comedian. I didn't hear anything he said. I didn't hear anything he said was funny. I didn't think it was funny, but it's not a reflection on Donald Trump. For y'all to make that, to think it is you're grasping at straws and ain't no milk coming out of those straws. There's nothing that's going to make Donald Trump look bad right now. You've already lost the election, but keep pulling this garbage. It's just garbage.
Aguna.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ironic because he was standing in front of the podium, said Trump Vance. So it's going to be a reflection on Donald Trump. Let's not sugarcoat that. Now,
But
Donald Trump didn't say it.
But can you say that Donald Trump said America is the world's garbage? How they're bringing all the garbage and dumping it. Remember that? Go ahead.
We're connecting that to Puerto Rico. I mean, this guy. I mean, the problem that the Trump campaign has and why they were walking it back the way they were is because it was a forum. They had like a parade of these bad jokes and these off-the-wall characters saying these racist, misogynistic stuff. And it is a reflection of the person at the top. That's what leadership is about, right? So, I mean, to make it like them versus you, like Stephen and Keith always come on this show talking about you guys got this, we're supposedly all Americans, but it seems like some of these Trump supporters think that it's some type of football game, as if they win, we lose, the country loses. And that's what's the problem, is because they're not listening. There's like an echo chamber. And at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with being accountable. We want Trump. If Trump came out and said, hey, that guy's loser. He's just saying this. Whatever. Let's move on. Yeah,
it was one person that said something. One person in 6 hours.
It was all of
It
them.
was one. No, it was one
That's what
person
I'm
who
saying.
said that. You're
That's not
lying.
correct.
Otherwise, there was one person who said
wasn't
something
one
that was
person.
egregious
They
that
said
none of us like.
misogynistic, racist.
Cousin Todd, we don't have much time. I'm
it was a
sorry. We don't have
Okay.
much time.
Okay. I think we've already gone over that, but I'll say two things to finish that out. Donald Trump has been talking like this, whether Stephen wants to admit it or not, calling America the world's garbage can. So you can't keep saying that, downing your own country that you want to be the president of. You can't do that. Now, and that just gives the other people opportunity to join your bandwagon. So, but that wasn't the only freak he had. Tucker Carlson was there saying, Donald Trump is daddy. And you know what? Daddy's pissed off. And daddy's going to give us a spanking. He's going to tell you, he's going to say, you've been a bad, bad girl. And I'm going to spank you vigorously.
Stacey,
Yes.
do you believe what he's saying? This is like
Yeah,
him
let me
talking
play
about
that.
sports. He don't know
Let me
politics
play
or
that.
sports.
Listen.
If you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his, which is, if you allow it, you will encourage more of it. If you allow people to get away with things that are completely over the top and outrageous, if you allow your 2-year-old to smear the contents of his diapers on the wall of your living room, and you do nothing about it, if you allow your 14-year-old to light a joint at the breakfast table, if you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home. Yeah, that's right. Dad comes home. And he's pissed. Dad is pissed. He's not vengeful. He loves his children. Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children, they live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now and think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
What?
And no,
Is this AI?
it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me.
Oh,
And you earned this.
say it, sister.
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
Is this AI?
And it has to be this way.
Yes,
It has to
ma'am.
be this way because it's true.
Yes.
And
Is
you're
this
only
real?
going to get better when you take responsibility for what you did.
Yes,
Don't believe your
ma'am.
eyes.
That's
Or
not
you-
said in the
This is
spirit
real?
of hate.
Don't.
It's not said in the spirit of
These deflections.
vengeance or bigotry.
No,
Far
is this
from it.
real?
It's said in the spirit of
What do you
justice,
think?
Okay, we got to cut.
which is the
We
purest
gotta
and
cut
best
because-
thing
What do
there
you
is.
think?
We have to cut this.
And
because
without
we're
it,
going too long.
things fall apart.
Okay,
You
now
think
let me.
AI
The
generated?
Democratic
AI
Party machine,
generated.
and notice I'm
No,
not
no,
beating
no.
up
I
on
don't
Kamala
know.
Harris.
If
It's
that
just
if
a
that's
habit.
You
real,
know.
I'm
To be there
hey
in the right
Todd.
colors.
Steven, it doesn't
Todd,
work. This
I
shit
agree
doesn't
with
work.
you.
Tim
If
Walz,
this
they
is
needed
real,
some,
Todd, I agree with you.
whatever Tim Walz is.
We've got to move
They
on.
needed a weak
Stacey.
man.
You said this is too long.
Because it is the party
Yeah,
of
cut
weak
it.
men and unhappy women. One of which leads to the other, by the way. Where you find weak men, you will inevitably find unhappy women. Sorry. And they make them on purpose. They weaken the men to drive the women insane, to have the most consistent voting bloc ever in the history of politics. Unhappy women, made unhappy by weak men. But it could be anybody. It could be anybody. Kamala Harris is just a stand-in. She's a cardboard cutout. She has a soul. God created her. I'm not attacking her humanity. But there's nothing there. It doesn't matter. If it wasn't Kamala Harris, it would be, I don't know, Pete Buttigieg or whatever. Who are these people? It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll stop there. So I stopped there, and I let it go on because I wanted you all to hear and see the perspective in which he was coming from, and where he was going, and whether or not you thought it made sense as a voter. As a voter, you're a person just like I am. You live, go to work every day. You buy groceries. You do what you have to do. You live, pay your taxes. And as a voter, did any of that make sense? His analogy? I think he was using the analogy of kids to American
So
citizens and Donald Trump.
now I know we want to just dismiss what he
I,
just said,
I
right?
wanted
No,
I wanted
no.
Stephen to
Yeah,
come back and
let
say,
me.
yeah, because he said that's not real. That's not real. That was
I,
real, Stephen. So now, what do you say about that?
I'm saying I had not seen that. Where was
Okay,
that
now you've
from?
seen it. Now
I
you've
have.
seen it. What do you think about it?
But
We
where was
gotta
it
move.
from? Was it from this weekend?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Just get to the point. What do you think about it?
I think one man has lost his mind.
Okay,
I think
thank
Tucker
you.
Carlson may have lost his mind. I
Okay.
don't agree with anything he just said. I think it
Okay.
was weird. I think it was really weird, and maybe he has. You know what? Sometimes when you get into these to this life and this politics and all this stuff, you may get too wound up in your own head, and everything that just gets messed up. I think maybe something happened to him. I don't know. Maybe he went OJ on us. I don't know. But what he did, what he was saying, did
Okay.
not make sense to me. That is
Okay.
like talking
Okay,
about having
thank you.
little children and you're going to spank
So
your children and all that.
Your daughter
wait,
specifically.
Okay, Aguna.
wait.
I'm an independent thinker.
Yeah,
Okay,
but here's what you're not thinking about.
Aguna.
He
What?
touched on something that was very important. It's actually going to be the determining factor in this election. He touched on masculinity and men. He was talking specifically about how men are perceived in their households, which resonates with all men. He's saying, hey, daddy's coming home and he's pissed. He's taking back control. And we need to put all these people in place because, we as men need to be more firm in our commitment. And he says on a very, these are dog whistles, but not necessarily racial ones. These are more misogynistic in the sense he's challenging manhood. He's saying strictly, hey, look at this. The Democrats are a party of miserable women and weak men. So as a man, you're saying, do you want to be part of a party that is about weak men? Because that
It's not part of a party. He's one man. He's one man.
No.
What
Because
is
you must not have been even listening to your own dog whistle.
Yes.
This is a consistent message throughout the Trump campaign. This is why
No, I haven't heard it.
Black men are starting to vote for Trump, because it's like, look, he's kind of talking straight to, hey, these women over here taking over. Let's reaffirm ourselves as men and take this country back. That is the dog whistle. So yeah, it sounds crazy, but that's the messaging that they're pushing through here.
Okay, thank you. Keith,
I heard it.
comments
I'm
about
surprised
it.
you didn't
hear it?
Steven, you must be a weak man.
I agree.
No, I'm a strong man. That's why I don't hear it.
I agree
You
with
should
that.
have heard it. You should have heard it.
Go ahead, Keith.
I agree. I actually agree with Aguna. I believe, we need to talk about the election and, something more relevant to that. But I agree with what Aguna was saying, about, the men and so forth, and Black men especially. We need to get them back into the household and get them in charge. See, yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, Aguna wasn't saying that,
No,
but that's okay. I'm going to move on.
I didn't say it like that, but that's part of the messaging. That's part of the messaging.
Okay, now let's go back, because in the beginning I was telling the story, and of course, Stephen, who is never with it. No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
I hadn't heard him. I had not heard him say that.
Anything, Stephen. So when I speak, just shut up and
no, I've been busy. I'm not like you. I've been busy.
Okay, just learn, Stephen. You have to learn. When you're doing a show, you have to do the research. So you can't just sit at home making your bets and picking your nose. You've got to research this stuff. And you can't be on the phone gossiping with your boy toy while he's laughing, driving. So now this is the thing. That the Republican Party has gone insane. And you know that because of this craziness, this boy is talking about beating your daughters.
It's
Did you
one man.
understand? Hey,
It's one man.
okay.
Who else is talking about beating their daughters? One guy. I think he sounds crazy. I think he lost his mind. I think Tucker Carlson is
Okay,
nuts.
we have to be off
It's
the
not
show
just
in
one guy,
literally
man.
29
It's one guy
minutes.
saying
We
beat
don't
your
have time
daughters,
for this,
Aguna.
One
Todd,
can't beat
I'm
your
talking
daughters, but
Todd
it's
now.
more about
Todd,
masculinity and it is
excuse
about
me, I'm talking
It's
to
not
Todd
ma-
now. Todd,
Yes.
I'm talking to
Yes.
you.
Yes.
You're the one
It's not
who is
masculine to beat
very
your daughter.
cognizant of the fact
that's
that
not
we have
what
a
you're
short
saying.
bit of time, and you insisted on me showing certain videos, specifically this one. So you are finished with your comments. You kept asking Stephen all these questions, and you know we don't have that much time.
All right.
You're going to insist that we stop on time because the vice president is coming on
Right.
at 9, and people aren't going to watch the show after that
Right.
time.
All right. I'll
Thank
just say
you.
this and I'm done. Tucker Carlson said to do this to your daughters, punch her in her belly and step on her feet, slam the child on the hard concrete.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
I believe you now, Todd, because you don't lie anymore.
Ma'am. Okay.
I believe you now.
What Todd
Because you
was
got me right
talking
on Tucker
about.
Carlson. You got me right on Tucker. I didn't know about that. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you. I'm an independent thinker, man. I ain't
Import her
stuck on
army of
nobody. I'm
migrant
stuck on the
gangs
truth.
and illegal
Be a
alien
man,
criminals
Stephen.
into
Be a
every
man.
state in America.
I
and every
am a
state's
man.
border state. You've heard
Listen.
that. It's true. Paving a trail of bloodshed, suffering, and death all across our land. We're like a garbage can. We're like a garbage can. First time I said it was last night. Gave a speech in Las Vegas. 29,000 people. It was an arena. We set the arena record. That was a big deal arena, too.
Listen at him.
We set the record, but it was an amazing crowd. First time I ever said it. I said it, I don't know, it just came out, garbage can. We're like a garbage can for the rest of the world. Immediately upon taking the oath of office,
Did you
I will
hear
launch
that,
the largest
You're damn
deportation
right, and I
program
agree
in
with
American
him.
history. I'll invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Did you know that?
1798.
I had to go back that far. We couldn't find anything because modern day politicians, even sort of old time, nobody had the courage of these original people. So we had to go back to
They were bigots and
1798 and it gave
1798.
power to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil.
Okay. I'm going
Right.
to stop that, and I'm going to move right on.
Anytime you have to go back to
100%.
1798 to get
100%.
archaic
Millions of
law,
illegals your side has let in to hurt our country. Millions. We've been invaded because of the side that you are on. You are on the wrong side, dum-dum.
all
This
right,
is
all
United
right,
States.
all right.
You have given up the United States, dum-dum. You're going to lose everything you ever had, dum-dum. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You let them take your country because you wanted to have an abortion. But guess what, Todd? You can't have an abortion. You don't have the right thoughts.
Look, every time he goes crazy. Look, you had the right
I'm
thought.
not going crazy. I'm just
Look
telling
at
the
him,
truth.
man. Stephen,
Why do you
Stephen,
support? Why do you still support Kamala? Why do you support Kamala? You don't make any sense. What is
Okay.
it? What's so
Look,
appealing
Stacey,
about the
you
last
gotta
4
move
years
on.
that we've had? You have already lost, Todd. You're ridiculous.
Shut up.
For a government-run boarding school system that
Racist
forcibly
man,
separated families
sexist
and their
man.
children.
Just
This
intertwining.
forced assimilation program lasted for 150 years, finally ending in 1969. It resulted in the abuse of tens of thousands of indigenous children and the death of nearly 1,000. The president's apology made on tribal land in Arizona came in the wake of a years-long investigation by the Interior Department.
Hey, thanks for.
Okay, now Stephen
right.
and Keith know nothing about that either.
I know about it. I know about it because I'm a Redskin fan. I'm a Redskin fan.
And then,
Stephen, can you have a debate without calling
Excuse
names
me.
like a child?
Okay, you all
I'm
are
a
trying to
Reds-
take over this, and I'm about to remove you. We're not going that way. Cousin Todd, you wanted to talk about this story. You
That's
gave
right.
me the clip. You talk about the story.
okay, goody. This clip was to show ignorant people like Stephen and Keith You got the wrong parts. You can't have an abortion and all that crazy
Dumb
talk.
This is what you're doing, Todd. You're going back. You're not
Called
supposed
you
to
a
go back.
dumb,
I
Todd.
told you do not go back
I'm not
to
going
another
back.
subject.
I'm not. I'm
Stick
just
with
saying.
Biden's apology.
I'm not
You're
going
going back
back.
to another
Right,
subject.
No,
man.
I'm not. If you just
Go over
listen,
that, Stephen.
this what I'm talking about is the invasion of the body snatchers. People like Stephen and Keith call Mexicans invaders when they themselves are in fact the invaders. That story that you just heard, for 150 years, white people have been separating children from their parents. They came to America, invaded it, killed the people who were here when they got here, and then took the children and put them in a boarding school to Americanize them, whitewash them, make them more European. And of course, they killed, and they say only 1,000. It was
Okay, you
much
can't
more than
talk. I told you
1,000.
we only have a certain amount of time.
It was
You have
much
to
more
cut
than
your points
1,000.
straight.
But this is how rotten these people are. And
Okay,
Stephen would have the audacity to
Stephen.
call another people invaders when he himself is the invader. America
Rob,
didn't look like this before you invaded it.
I
Okay,
didn't
thank you,
invade it.
Stephen, the president apologized to Native Americans for putting children in boarding schools and having them suffer some horrendous, horrible
Rapes and
abuses
yes,
and killings.
children.
And your comment about that, Stephen, very quickly.
Good. I'm glad he apologized for things that were bad that happened to people, children, or anybody else. That he would appreciate human beings from past or the present or the future. I think that's a good thing. That he would apologize for anybody being harmed. I think that's a good thing.
Thank you. Aguna.
Stephen, are
What do
you
you think about?
anti-immigrant?
Don't say anything to Stephen.
No,
I mean,
I'm anti-illegal immigrant because I came here
okay, and
legally.
what makes immigration illegal?
Stephen, Aguna, don't answer
When
that.
they don't come
See,
to,
Don't
this
answer
is
that.
the whole
Aguna.
point.
That's
when
Aguna.
they
the
don't
whole
come through the
point.
proper
It's on
channels,
here.
it makes them illegal. There's people. It takes time. You have to go through the proper channel.
Aguna. I
Okay,
said
so
stick with
asylum
the
seekers
subject.
aren't illegals. The Haitians weren't illegals. This is the point.
Haitians are not
Even
They
though
are
illegal.
people
illegals.
They
dumb
are.
on the show, but he's supporting just nonsensical rants around things he
Stop
doesn't even
following Brother
understand.
Todd.
No,
Have a good end of
okay,
show.
fine. The Native American subject, it is messed up. I'm glad President Biden apologized. You know, this is going to be one of those things where, you know, nobody's really going to follow and make the connections that
No,
Todd just did.
no.
Because at the end of the day, it's their country now. You know,
Yeah.
Trump saying this country is garbage, is a garbage can because of the immigrants or the illegal. Again,
The
he's mixing.
illegals. We wouldn't invade it. We have millions of people here.
Listen, let me finish.
Wait a
Listen to
minute,
the
Aguna.
man.
You're not right.
He's
Let him
saying
finish.
that immigration, he uses it, he intertwines it. So he doesn't care if you're illegal or not.
And
Those
no,
He
people over
does.
there are
No,
making
that's
this
not
country
true.
worse.
That's
the
not
message.
true. It's illegals.
Go do your research. Look at
Go and do the research and see how many murderers, convicted murderers, and convicted rapists we've let in this country.
Both sides. I look at the messaging. That's why I heard the masculinity message do what they was talking about. Now I'm hearing the same thing here. It's not just illegal immigration. It is immigrants, period. Because
No, it's not. It's not. We don't.
Quiet. Let me
Thank
finish.
you, Aguna.
We could have done something about illegal immigration
Thank you,
when the
Aguna.
bipartisan.
That wasn't bipartisan. That's
it was.
Thank you.
That's a lie.
Conservatives wrote it. So
I'm tired of it. Okay, welcome to SPORLITIKS, where sports and politics mix and mingle. And what is your comment about President Biden's apology?
Yeah, I think Todd hit the most important points on that topic, just because when you're talking about the dignity of people, the culture of people, and everything else that was erased, not to mention sex trafficking, human trafficking, like you can add all of the things onto that particular case. But the important thing to understand too is when a president says something, that's like when Aguna gets a lawyer from a letter. from a lawyer, not an ambulance chaser. When he sees it's a white shoe, real deal law firm, Aguna is going to call his attorney and be worried about it. So when a president makes a statement like that, it sets precedent for another time for some legal action for those Native American sovereign nations that we essentially erased. So yeah, a president getting on the record and making a formal apology, yeah, that's a really big deal. And legally, it's going to bring a lot towards those Native American communities when they decide to bring this forward. So yeah, salute to Biden for doing it. Maybe the guilt was eating him up. I don't know.
So, Keith, your comment on President Biden's apology to the Native Americans?
He doesn't
No
know about
comment.
it.
No.
Okay, let's move on.
I love Massa Trump. That's all he wants to say.
There is an interesting Senate race in Wisconsin as we talk about the presidential race, and we see that we're really almost tied. They're really tied. A tie breaking may come down to the House and the Senate. Therefore, depending upon who wins the House and Senate, that will probably make a difference in who wins the presidential race. But let's see what's going on with Senator Tammy Baldwin and that specific race. Watch this.
Leading in the polls. According to the most recent Marquette lawsuit poll, Baldwin holds 53% of registered voter support, while Hovde holds 46%.
Well, thank you all for being here.
I'm ready to roll.
With Republicans needing just 2 seats to flip the Senate majority in their favor, Wisconsin's Senate race is one of the closest watched matchups in the country.
It's an election year. Just had the primary yesterday.
What's the strategy between today and November?
Work.
Hovde speaking at the Madison Club on Wednesday, highlighting the economy and the border as top issues.
And all the consequences around the border. I call it the rotten onion.
While Baldwin spent the day at a farm near Wausau, launching her rural Wisconsin campaign tour, also highlighting the economy as a top issue this election.
If you haven't heard, my opponent seems to look down on farmers, seems to think they're lazy.
What?
I think you're the hardest working people on earth.
Hovde filing a defamation lawsuit last week over an ad alleging he uses tax havens, responded to the ads targeting him at the luncheon.
Me saying farmers are lazy. Have you all saw that one? Okay, I think farmers are the hardest working people in America.
In July, Baldwin raised over $2.5 million, while Hovde raised $374,000 in the same time period, according to their campaign's filings with the Federal Elections Commission. For now, in Madison, Vanessa Kelson.
They're also making a big deal off of the current Senator Tammy Baldwin's, how shall I say, her mate. They're also making a big deal talking about who she loves, which is not supposed to be something that should be in an election of that type. So let's start with, Keith is going. Let's start with Stephen, then let's go to Dot, let's go to Aguna, and then Cousin Todd on the congressional races and how they can actually make a difference in the presidential race, depending upon how it comes out.
Well, I don't care who she loves, as long as she has love in her heart for somebody. That's a good thing. If people could love people, that's a good thing. And another thing I grabbed from this was farmers are the hardest working people in the world. I've known people that's been with on farms and worked on farms for so many years, and these are the hardest working people in the world. They do work hard. They get up early every morning. They work really hard, and they do more before we do, like 6 hours before we get out of bed sometimes. But
they also hire illegal immigrants.
No, they hire people with the immigrants that have green cards like it should be. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. But no, they shouldn't be illegal.
Yeah,
Illegals,
you're not saying
should not.
anything about
Illegals
that.
should not be allowed in this country. The people can get green cards. They can come here and work. They can come here and do all kinds of jobs. They don't just have to pick cotton. They don't just have to pick fruit. They can work in other jobs. They can.
Let's go check those.
Is this
Okay,
time
thank
up
you
yet?
you two just made your
They
comment.
can have all
Let me
kinds
hear
of
from
jobs.
Dot. Let me hear from Dot
Be
and from
quiet,
Aguna.
man.
I mean Dot and Cousin Todd. Dot.
Got
For one
him.
thing,
Got him.
For one thing, yeah, Aguna
What'd you
was
get?
perfect shot. But it's kind of disappointing.
Pick cotton, pick apples, pick fruit.
Oh, you said cotton first,
Why
huh?
does this racist keep bringing that up? Like, why does this racist keep bringing up
Go
the
ahead.
cotton?
Go ahead,
It's
Dot.
ridiculous. So anyway, finishing up. I just thought we'd be more
Countries
sure.
that work for almost nothing. They're this.
Why are you still doing this, man?
God almighty, that dude, man. What's wrong with him? That boy, the fentanyl.
You don't pay them a proper wage or
smoke wet
Fentanyl.
on your
it's
own
still
time. Nobody wants
because I made
to
a
hear your meth babble.
Fentanyl.
Go somewhere else. Nobody wants to hear it. So anyway, finishing my point. Yes, we get it. Finishing my point. I just didn't think we were this naive. So in this day and age, still to this day, people are still falling for the whichever marginalized group of politician has to be talking about is the hardest working group you ever seen. If somebody said teachers, he would have said, "Oh, the teachers, oh, they work so hard." If you would have said anything, they would have done that. So I'm just surprised that Americans still fall for this kind of like rhetorical trick, because that's all it is. If you really care about farmers, show me the legislation. If you really care about farmers, tell me how you're stopping big agri and keeping family farms alive. Tell me how you're stopping McKinsey and some of these, finance companies from coming in and taking away the profits from these family farms who've had them for generations. There was a story last week in the New Yorker about this family who basically they used to get 75 cents out of the dollar on ground beef. Well, now it's 35 cents. And they have no other recourse because the stockyards and the other places are owned by these big corporations who are just telling them, hey, take it or leave it. And eventually it'll be so unprofitable that they'll have to sell the farm. So when politicians actually care about that and really care about these farmers' lives, let me know. But doing these little soundbite, oh, they're the hardest working people, man, get out of here with that.
Okay. So I'm going to switch subjects. We're going to go to two more LA. According to AP, AssociatedPressNews.com, if you look at your screen, two more LA Times editorial board members resign after the paper withholds a Harris endorsement. We're seeing a trend in newspapers withholding presidential endorsements. Keith, you're in LA. Why are they doing this?
Beats me. That's maybe they're afraid they'll lose even more support because
she's embarrassing.
Are you buffering? Are you buffering?
No, it's because she's embarrassing to them.
Anyway,
She's a
most people
horrible
get their
person.
news from online, and a lot of times that's the case. But LA Times, they're a progressive paper. Everybody knows that, just like New York Times, and all the rest of them, most of them. Even I'm sure Nas would even agree with me on that one.
No,
because
Okay,
definitely.
Nobody wants to go down with the Titanic, and she is the Titanic right now. She's a miserable candidate.
Stephen, please stop. I only have a certain amount of time. We're almost out of time. You got to please stop. We got to talk about a few things. One,
masculine, man
we
up.
have to talk about.
I'm not emotional.
Yeah, you are.
I'm going to move on.
I'm just telling them the truth, and it's making you emotional. Man up, man up. Man up. It's making you emotional, not me.
And Stephen.
The truth don't hurt. The truth don't hurt me. The truth hurts you.
You two are grown men. You have children.
We are. And that's why
I don't know, man.
Stephen, stop whining.
We almost grown.
Okay,
I'm
what's
gonna
the
move
next
on.
topic?
The U.S. presidential campaign. Trump being called a fascist. We'll start with Don.
Nazi.
By who?
Stupid people.
By Don Kelly.
Yeah, he hired his General Kelly. He hired him.
Yeah, he's because he's scared. General
Hey,
Kelly
man,
is corrupt. Kelly.
Can you let her finish? We don't need you to filibuster. Let her finish.
Dot, please talk about the significance or insignificance of them releasing that information when they did.
I think it's significant because, again, when you're talking about issues like that, you're not talking about like the typical MAGA supporter. You're talking about independents, and you're talking about people who've been Republicans all of their lives, but Trump is a step too far. You're trying to appeal to those people. This is that Liz Cheney coalition and some of these other people, the Never Trump coalition. That's who they're trying to appeal to with this. Yeah, you would wish Kelly would release that information earlier, but at the same time, we can't act like there aren't national security concerns with this. You have to make sure certain deals didn't get done in the midst of this and that. So a lot of things have to be checked before you can give such a damning statement against a former president that he directly worked for. So, I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. This is not somebody who just has an opinion about him. This is a man who worked for him.
Okay, Cousin Todd.
I absolutely agree. And when you go down the list of the people that had negative things to say about Donald Trump, it should give you pause. And now all of a sudden, and I found out that Bill Barr has now flipped. First, he said Donald Trump was crazy and shouldn't be president again. Now
No, he didn't. He never said that.
Okay. I'm not talking to you. And so now he's flipped again, sort of like the way Stephen flip-flops. I'm a never Trumper. I love Trump. So this is how these Trump supporters do. But it's just
independent thinker
state of affairs when America has sunk so low. Now there used to be normal Republicans who I always thought who I always thought were a bit strange, but now they're extreme and they're showing their racism openly. When I saw those white bigots at Trump's rally, like Tucker, you didn't see any of it, so you don't know what I'm talking about, so be quiet. When I saw all those bigots saying things like, Bill Clinton's wife is a son of a bitch. She's a bitch. These are sick white men. Bill Clinton's wife has nothing to do with this election, but they reached all the way back there. They hate women.
No, she is a bitch.
Hate women.
Hillary is a bitch.
Okay,
we all agree to that.
Hey, man, go finish smoking your meth.
We all agree Hillary Clinton is a bitch.
No, we don't. We have vocabularies. Okay.
You don't.
Thank you.
That's what he was saying.
We can articulate things without calling names.
He was calling names.
So the judge, a judge today said that he's going to dismiss the federal lawsuit. TheHill.com, as you can see this article, judge dismisses Pennsylvania Republicans' overseas voter lawsuit. So the judge was basically saying that Republicans were bringing a lawsuit against Pennsylvania that said anyone who was casting a vote from overseas and put in a ballot would have to prove that they are a resident of Pennsylvania before their ballot would be accepted and counted. And the judge dismissed that today.
Why?
In less than a minute, let me have comments from Stephen, Dot, Aguna, and then Cousin Todd about this judge's dismissal in Pennsylvania. And they also dismissed it in, I think it was in Michigan and another state. I'll look that up.
Stephen's not going to know anything about this. Watch the ignorance that comes from him. Go.
Do we all agree that we only want Americans to vote in an American election? Or do we want foreigners that have just gotten here off the boat or plane or train or however else they got here, or through the desert, however these people got here? Do we want people that are illegal to vote? I want everybody to tell me, Aguna, Todd, do you want people that are not American citizens to vote? Do you want people who are not American citizens to vote, guys?
Let's create a problem and pretend to.
No, there is a problem. Do we want? Wait a minute. The Democrat Party brought in millions of people that could do motor voter. They could do motor voter, and they can. Wait a minute, Stacey, stop them.
No,
look at the data.
Stop. I said stop. Dot, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is something we talked about a couple of years ago. Essentially, Republicans are more likely to win elections the less turnout you get. So they've tried to figure out, kind of a throwback to Jim Crow, different various mechanisms they can figure out to lower the vote
You
turnout.
are Jim Crow.
So again, when we're talking about people with these ballots, especially
Vocabulary.
overseas, the majority of those folks we're talking about are military personnel. Then we're talking about U.S. citizens who are living overseas, or some people who just happen to be abroad right now for business or things like that. The idea that you would need to physically have them come in is just a way of limiting the vote and restricting the vote. So, of course, this was thrown out, I would say, with malice, because at a certain point, this just becomes like you're trying to satisfy your YouTube low information, low IQ voters by thinking you're doing something when in actuality, all you're doing is simple voter suppression. So, yeah, glad this was thrown out.
Aguna, Cousin Todd. Aguna first, Cousin Todd, real quick.
Yeah, let people vote. Why are we pretending like there's a voter problem? Voter turnout is already low in this country, so we're going to make up a problem with voter IDs and all this other stuff when there's no evidence there. And of course, you're going to challenge the source and all this other stuff. We're going to hear about a garbage on this show about it. But this is a made-up, manufactured problem that they're trying to pretend to fix.
You don't want people to have an ID to vote? You don't want American citizens to vote? Do you want people from other countries to vote in our elections?
I think she said Cousin Todd, not Meth Mouth.
I'm asking him a question, son. I'm asking him a question, not you.
You think an illegal immigrant is actually voting? You think
Okay.
Cousin Todd, go ahead.
Okay. There is no widespread voter fraud. I know Donald Trump has said that, so that's why these people believe it. But Donald Trump is a liar and a con artist. So that's not true. And we're talking about military people from overseas.
Thank you. It's not just military people. There are people who have jobs in other places.
I'm for all of that. I'm for all of that.
Shut up. It's before the judge then.
What you're for. It's not your turn. It's his turn.
That's the whole thing was about.
And so, and also,
this is our round table. We're going to start with Stephen and then Dot and then Aguna and Cousin Todd. Is Donald Trump a
sales
fascist?
are on the rise right now. Let's hear from one of the constituents.
Is Donald Trump a fascist?
Is Donald Trump a fascist? That's so funny. That's hilarious because when he was a president just a few years ago, was he a fascist then? Was he Adolf Hitler? Did he do anything to hurt anybody? Hey, how many Jews did Donald Trump kill when he was president? Is he a fascist? No.
We only have 1 minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he's a good president. Okay, go ahead.
Not make you a fascist.
Don't be so stupid. You people are stupid.
Fascist and Nazis.
Are you?
Dot.
Not two different things.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just using the loose term and the definition that people go by, where they say the 13 things that make someone a fascist, if you just go through that list and check it off, I mean, yeah, the man meets the right. What is he saying on day one? He wants to do this mass deportation.
He's a populist.
Which is basically another problem similar to what Joe Biden was apologizing for today. Do people understand what mass deportation means? That means neighbors, people you know, they're going to have their door kicked in and pulled out because they're on a list. And who knows if the list is right or wrong. There's going to be so many problems caused by things that he's envisioning. So, yes, if you want to put him up there with Mussolini and whoever, go ahead.
Thank you.
Illegals.
We only have less than a second. Todd's not going to have time to close out, Aguna.
Yeah, I mean, he's just saying it, just like Mexico going to pay for it and all this other stuff he's promising, going back to just the mudslinging politics of back in the day. And it's very interesting how a Trump supporter or a maggot who would want to
MAGA.
A maggot.
MAGA. You're the maggot. You're the maggot.
At the end of the day,
you're the maggot.
Why is he telling you these things?
You're the maggot.
All right. Well, Cousin Todd, actually, we're out of time.
Maggot. Bull.
Man, you ain't got nothing. You got nothing. You're a loser. You're a loser.
Eating it.
Loser. You're not going to steal this one. You're not going to steal this one again.
I triggered him.
Why don't you steal
the U.S.
some
military for all that you do and sacrificing your life so that we are free to say whatever we choose on this show. We are forever indebted. On behalf of Aguna, the voice of reason.
I don't like maggots, man.
Stephen, the independent
He
thinker.
likes maggots because he's a maggot.
Keith, the constitutional conservative.
Ooh.
Doc, thank you, Doc, for joining us.
I triggered you.
And my cousin Todd. I'm Stacey Johnson. Let's keep this conversation going on Stephanie Stallworth, the Flow Television Network.
Did she steal her name?
Twitch, TikTok at SPORLITIKS.com, Instagram,
You don't get it.
Facebook, and please like
be a
and
meeting in
subscribe
the
to our
garden.
YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week when you vote. Please make sure you vote. Good night.
Watch Kamala Harris tonight.
I can't believe you're on Harris's side. I can't believe y'all are on Harris's side. Aguna, I know you're lying. Aguna, I know you're smarter than to be on Harris's side. I know Todd's not smart enough. But Aguna, I know you're smart enough to be on Trump's side. You are voting for Trump. You are voting for Trump. I know you are. You already did. But you can't tell nobody because you gave money to BLM. You can't tell anybody you're voting for Trump now because you're not dumb. You're not dumb, and you're not like that. You are a financial guy. You're a financial guy. You know Trump is better. You know Donald Trump is better for this country and the world than she is.
Is this your closing argument? Is this your
You know he's better than she is financially.
Is this your closing argument?
You can't. You're not that dumb.
Steven, this is not a closing argument.
You're not that dumb.
Good way to sell your candidate. Good job.
Good night.
Yeah, good job. Use important.